Hey y'all, Cecile here, and welcome to Playing with Possibilities. All right, my name is Cecile Armstrong, and I am a Black woman, a self care and social justice facilitator. I'm also the founder of Inspired by Indigo, where I help guide folks to let go of blame, shame, and guilt so that we can all make anti racism and anti oppression a habit. It's all about getting in touch with what you feel and being able to let your emotions go so that we can deal with facts, so that we can make the world a place that we want to live in. And I hear my phone, so I am going to turn off the sound. And I'm also going to turn it over to my friend and colleague, Christine Gautreaux, so she can introduce herself.
Hey y'all, I'm Christine Gautreaux. I use she, her pronouns. I am a white social justice advocate, an international speaker, coach, and dancing social worker, and a published author who helps you upgrade yourself in community care. I am the owner of Christine Gautreaux Consulting LLC. I'm so delighted to be with you today, Cecile.
I am happy to be here too. I'm missing our friend a day,
He's
but he's
on a
traveling today.
train, right? He's on a
Right.
train back from London today, so it wasn't good for him to zoom in. I'm missing him too. Hello, Eddie, wherever you are.
Yay. So today, I was mentioning to you yesterday, today, what I would like to talk about as we are playing with possibilities is letting go of outcomes, about setting intentions and then letting go of how things have to show up for us. And I want to talk about this because this is something that I struggle with. I have these intentions and things that I want to happen, and I get it in my head about how they're going to show up for me. And I know that if I have a like fixed thing in my mind about how things are going to work out, that's limiting possibilities because there's all these other possibilities of ways things could happen that I can't even imagine. And so I want to talk about how do you do that? Because I know I'm not the only one.
Let's talk about it. But before we do, can you give us a great big belly breath?
I knew
Because
you were going to
I
say
would
that
love to
first.
be grounded before we have
Me
this
too.
conversation.
We definitely need to be grounded for this. All right. So if you're watching live or on the replay, I'm asking you now to get into a comfortable position. If you're sitting down, make sure you're sitting up straight though, head over shoulders, shoulders over hips. If you're laying down, that's fine. Leave your arms and legs uncrossed. Now relax your tummy. Notice where your shoulders are. And if they're up by your ears, let them come down. Notice how your jaw feels. Are you feeling tension in your jaw muscles? If you are, just move your jaw around. Let that go. And then just kind of do a quick body scan. And just notice where you're holding tension in your body. And if you can, just let it go. Just soften those muscles and notice how different you feel when you let that tension go. Now place your hands on your belly and take a deep breath in. And because your tummy muscles are relaxed, you're going to feel your belly expand. And at your own pace, let it out. Now, one more time, do a great big inhale and let your belly expand. And again, at your own pace, go ahead and exhale. And then notice how you feel in your body after those 2 deep belly breaths. And then go ahead and open your eyes. And how are you feeling, my friend?
Mm, I needed that. I've been in this office chair since about 6 a.m. this morning, trying to
Woo!
get out my monthly newsletter and meetings, as you and I were just in one together. So
Mhm.
it's nice around midday to take that pause and really breathe deep and come
Yeah.
back to center where I started
Hmm.
my day at. So thank you
Yeah.
for that.
You are so welcome. Yeah, I try to start my day with a deep breath.
Mm-hmm.
I breathe deeply throughout the day, and then before I go to bed, I do the same thing because every time it's like my mind goes everywhere, my body is all over the place. But when I stop to breathe, it brings me back to center.
We were just talking about that this weekend about returning to our body and the physical,
Hmm.
right? That I was opening a retreat for a staff retreat for a corporation locally here, which they just happened to do it at the local spa, which, that's a hard gig to have. But we were talking about how often we're so busy just going and doing and running and building businesses, and that to
Hmm.
the return to the physical, just even with the breath, because
Hmm.
I don't know, I know you and I, we really don't say it that much anymore because this is our business, but there used to be the time where I say, I'm too busy for that, I'm too busy for that, like, and
Hmm.
it's like, well, we're not too busy to breathe.
No. No.
Sometimes it feels like we are, and
Hmm.
nothing, as my co-author Sheila K. Collins said, nothing is improved by lack of oxygen. Nothing.
Right?
Not your productivity, not your ability to do it, not your ability to handle stress. So
Not,
take that
yeah, not your
moment,
decision making, nothing. Right.
right? Take that
Hmm.
moment to breathe in. So thank you. Yeah, that
Oh,
felt
you're
really good.
welcome. Yeah. Okay, so the topic for today, letting go of how the things we're working for actually manifest for us.
Right?
Hmm. Yeah.
When you asked me that question, or talked about having that conversation, I always think it's a yes and,
Hmm.
right? I think it's a yes and. We were just talking about this on the Women Connected in Wisdom podcast last week when we
Hmm.
talked about financial wellness. We talked about naming our numbers. So,
Hmm.
you have your number,
Hmm.
and especially for entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, you want to have multiple paths to that number.
Right.
Right? Even if you're niched, even if you're
Hmm.
niched.
I don't
How do you
know.
say that word?
I
I'm
don't know.
Southern. I'm
I've heard it
Southern.
both ways.
I know I have too, and I always doubt myself sometimes when I get on here and start talking about this. But you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
If you're
Hmm.
specialized, um, even then you want to have different ways to make it to that number. So yes to setting the intention of the
Hmm.
number,
Hmm.
yes to even setting the intentions of the goals,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And calendaring that, because we can set the intentions, but if we don't calendar it, it doesn't happen. So
Hmm.
like you and I are currently in the process of writing chapters for a book that project we're
Hmm.
involved in,
Yep.
and I'm one of the last ones to turn in the book chapter because I haven't calendared it. I've calendared the organizing of the project, but I haven't
Hmm.
calendared my writing, right?
Hmm.
I know it's happening, but the when part needs to be calendared.
Right.
I'm letting go of the expectation of the how, like that the words are all going to come. I know that's
Hmm.
true. I have the content, I have the
Hmm.
prompts, so I'm letting go of that piece. I'm not holding stress about that in my body.
Hmm.
So, really, I guess my answer to you, very, very long, convoluted answer, Cecile, would be to set your intention and calendar the time,
Hmm.
because you don't have to know the how you're getting there, but you have to have time in your calendar, even if it's just for the dreaming aspect of it. If
That's
it's for
true.
the dreaming and the resting in order to accomplish the goal, or if it's for the taking of a class. So say
Hmm.
you don't know, a good example is your community, Inspired
Right.
by Indigo, and
Uh-huh.
anti-racism work you do.
Hmm.
If you want to be an anti-racist and you want to have the words, like I remember, I took that, was it a podcast series or a class you did about how to talk to your racist
Oh
family
yeah,
and
that was a
friends,
workshop. I'm gonna run that again because that
right?
was really popular. Yeah.
So if that's one of your goals, if you want to have those skills,
Hmm.
um, sign up for a class like
Hmm.
Cecile's. Like, we may not know how we're doing it yet, but we can gather information and we can gather data
Hmm.
and see how it unfolds. I mean,
Hmm.
some of my goals and vision take years to unfold.
That's true. That's true. And I agree with everything that you just said. And um, I was thinking of things like, now I was thinking of things and now it just flew out of my head. But I was thinking of something like, I remember I had a friend who wanted to learn how to scuba dive, and she wanted her own tank. And evidently, tanks are expensive. And so she had made a vision board. And when she put a picture of the tanks up there, some kind of way she found a picture of pink air tanks and had that on her had that on her vision board. And she had no idea how she was going to be able to afford it. And somebody ended up gifting her air tanks, and they were pink, just like the ones on her vision board. And so I'm thinking of things like that. I know I need to make
Right.
enough money to do this, but instead of just focusing on I've got to have the money for this, focus on this is my goal and I'll accept it however it shows up.
Well, I love that, because one of the things I think folks have a tendency to not do is be specific about what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And like, she had a picture of pink tanks, right? She
Mm-hmm.
may not even known that that was what she wanted or didn't want. But when we're specific about our dreams and our goals and what we want, even to the point of saying them out loud, writing them down, doing a
Mm-hmm.
vision board, what happens is we start to become aware of the possibilities
Mm-hmm.
when they show up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're like, because I think so much information is coming at us all the time throughout
Right.
the day, like
Right.
emails and social media and this or that, that we miss. I mean, maybe it's just me, but
No,
I
it's not the
miss
focus.
probably 90% of the stuff that's coming to me, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, if I have it in my consciousness and I've set this intention or this goal, then I may not miss it,
Right.
right? I'll
Right.
give you a good example. And this is one I'm working on for years. Oh, I can't reach my vision board, but I want to go to the Smoky Mountains when the fireflies are synchronicity.
Ooh,
Like, that
yeah.
has been my goal for a couple of years. Well, I keep missing the window because there's a certain window, but they just sent me the email, right? And because it's been on my vision board and I've been thinking about it, I was like, oh, it's here. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm more aware, I'm paying attention when it comes
Mm-hmm.
in, or
Mm-hmm.
I've calendared that goal. I'm looking at what else is on my vision board, the latest one that I did, see if there's any other. Yeah, it's not a very specific one. It's got some really good art and words on it, but it's, I loved the vision board workshop that we participated in with Women Connected in Wisdom, where we
Yeah.
looked at all the dimensions of wellness
Mm-hmm.
and we were intentional about that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I ended up making 3 vision boards out of that workshop, and I actually have them as the, what do you call it, the background on my laptop, so every time I open my laptop, one of the 3 shows up, and I look at it and remind myself, "Okay, these are my goals for the year."
yeah, I mean, I think we have to remember, because we're moving fast, right? I
Mhm,
like to say we're dancing fast.
mhm,
So there are steps we can make towards the goal, and some of it
mhm,
we just let go and we trust, right? But
mhm.
one of my teachers told me years ago is that we also sit and we envision the feelings,
Yeah.
that how are we going to feel when we accomplish that goal or when we reach it? It's kind of like
Mhm,
our why or our motivation, because
mhm.
we can get so busy doing that we lose track of that, and then we get a little off the course, or a
Right,
little
then
off,
you go off course. Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So most of us that are on here and listening or watching the replay are juggling multiple projects.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, and that's just work. That doesn't
Yep.
include family or friends or,
Mhm,
so taking 5 minutes or 10 minutes to look at your vision board, look at your
mhm,
goals, look at your calendar, just kind of like we did in Manifesting Monday
mhm,
Mastermind. And what are we going for?
mhm.
And envisioning, how's it going to feel when
And
we get
yeah.
there.
And when you combine that with pausing and taking a breath too, getting grounded and centered in your body, and then looking at your vision board or imagining what it's going to feel like when you reach your goal, and then
Mhm.
maybe doing a dance or having some music or whatever so that you really feel this in your body, that
Mhm.
that is powerful. And when you do that on like a daily basis, it's basically, it's conjuring, you're putting it in your head, this is what I want. And then as you do it in the moment, this is what I feel, not what I'm going to feel. This is what I feel. And you're
Right.
just shifting yourself into that
You're
reality.
co-creating.
Hmm.
Yeah, you're co-creating and you're raising your energy in a way that it attracts what you want to attract.
Hmm.
Right? You're putting it out there. I mean, I know sometimes social media gets a bad rap, a lot of times because there's the good and the bad of
I
it,
was going to
right?
say, there's plenty for it to have a bad rap about.
But one of the things I love is celebrating successes with people on social
Hmm.
media, right?
Hmm.
When folks are out there living their best life, when they are doing their purpose, and they share it with us and we get to
Hmm.
celebrate with them. Like it is, I think about that. I think about your fourth pillar about rest and celebrate in your community
Yeah.
and how it's important. I think that's part of the manifesting process. I think that's part of
Hmm.
the goal process is, you state your intention very clearly, write it
Hmm.
down, y'all, write it in the positive.
Write it down.
If you write it down, it's more effective. And
Hmm.
then you look at it. And I mean, well, I've done it two ways. I mean, I have to say, I've done it two ways. So sometimes I write it, I stick it in a book, and I forget about it. And
Hmm.
it's those that always surprise me when I come across it years later and I go, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's already come true, right?
Uh-huh.
And
I've
then
done
there's
that
the other
before.
part where I think about it. Like I think about my calendar and I think about, oh my gosh, it's going to feel instead of, whoo, Lord, I have a lot to do, right?
Hmm.
This is going to feel so good. This is so exciting. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I get to do this. I
Hmm.
can't believe
Yeah,
I get to do
framing
this.
makes such a huge difference in how you feel as you do the work. If you're
Right?
like, oh, this is so much work, or I'm always so behind, da, 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 that's going to be a totally different feeling. And it's going to show up in your life completely different than I get to do this. And this is coming. And look at what I'm working for. And I'm one step closer. That's a totally different vibe.
And your why. Like I'm a big believer in why are you doing it?
Hmm.
What's your purpose with it?
Hmm.
And if you don't have a good one or you don't, maybe checking in and reevaluating. Is
Hmm.
that something we should be working towards? Now,
Right.
sometimes we have to, right? It's our
Mhm.
job or it's a family thing that we've got to do. So then we
Yeah.
kind of work on our phrasing about it and
Mhm.
can we because your why may be because it puts food on your table and
Right.
you get to support your family and that's
Mhm.
awesome.
Mhm.
And yay,
Mhm.
you know.
Right.
Um, so I don't know, you know
And
me.
your why could also be something, even deeper that you're actually passionate about because, your why could be like with Inspired by Indigo and with the work that you do, the why could be because we're changing hearts and minds and we know that we're changing
Right,
communities and we're going to change the world, you know?
right,
Hmm.
right.
It could be
Yeah,
about
so
getting
many.
people out of their own way and getting people to show themselves grace so they can let go of the self-blame and um, the fear and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It was Friday. I was standing in the center of my labyrinth with one of the upcoming authors of the Women Connected in Wisdom book. And she said, tell me your why. Why are you doing this? What's this book about? Right. And it was such a powerful moment to pause and really just speak from the heart. Like it
Hmm.
was Friday was a new moon. We were talking about
Right.
intentions. We were talking about what do we want to create in the world. And it
Hmm.
was one of those moments that I was outdoors in nature. I was asked this question and I just got to speak it.
Hmm.
And which was good because like I'm behind on emails and I owe people things and and I'm in
Right.
the weeds of it, right? I'm like,
Hmm.
there's so much to do. We're writing a book. And I got to take a deep breath and pause and think, okay, this is my why. And this is magical in so many
Hmm.
ways in
Hmm.
uplifting women's voices who often don't get heard and the
Hmm.
powerful work that they're doing in this world. And
Hmm.
so yeah, I think, and it still goes back, Cecile, to returning to our bodies, the
It does.
feelings, the breathing,
Hmm.
the and and when we get off track or when we get anxious or when it's about money, when it's about, oh, I got to pay this bill and I've asked
Mhm.
for this amount of money to come in, and how's it coming, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, I think that's it can to breathe and
Right.
to make your resource list. Like, who are you connected to, and
Mhm.
where can you access resources or classes or opportunities for work?
Mhm.
You know, I told you that about opening that staff retreat on Saturday night. I
Yes.
had just stated on Friday, I need to get back to some body practices for self-care,
Mhm.
and including like some hydrotherapy and things like that. And that call
You
came in Saturday morning.
you are in synchronicity right now because you are speaking things into existence.
Right.
I
And
said,
I was like, this person called me and said, "Hey, I'm doing this retreat. I know it's last minute, but I'm right down the road from you. Do you happen to have, do you happen to be available to come and open this staff retreat? And you
mhm.
can, if it's too much, you can just zoom in." And I'm like, wait, is this a
No,
trick
not if
question?
you're at a
Come
spa.
to the spa and open a retreat and get paid to do that work and be at the
Right.
spa, or zoom in. Oh, I'll see you in just a few minutes.
Right. You're like, who's gonna Zoom for that?
I'm
But
like, oh,
you are speaking things into
yeah,
existence right now.
right.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
I want listeners to know, like, years of work. Like, I mean, because I watch you do the same thing. Like,
Mhm.
yes, we talk about it, and yes, we hold each other accountable, and we rest and we
Mhm.
dream and we do the work. We show
And
up and do the work.
mhm, that resting and dreaming piece, people forget that a lot. I mean, and you mentioned my pillars, so I'm gonna go ahead and say the
Mhm.
4 pillars
Oh,
for anybody who's
please.
watching. All right, so the 4 pillars and inspired by Indigo. Number 1 is self-care, because if you don't get in your body and you don't know what you're feeling and all of that, then it's really hard to take in new information, especially hard stuff. Like when we're talking about racism and oppression, it's hard to take that stuff in unless you are already in your body and you're grounded and you know that you're safe and you've let go of blame, shame, and guilt, and you're ready to expand your comfort zone. So self-care is first. And then there's know your facts. That's how you undo myths and lies. You get the facts and you learn about systems and you learn about all the things that we want to undo. And then you undo the work, undoing all the things that we've learned about race and privilege and equality. And then finally, it's rest and celebration, because once you've gone out of your comfort zone and you've done something that makes you nervous, you've got all this adrenaline, and so give your body and your mind a chance to rest and let all of that get out of your system. And the celebration part is acknowledging what you did right, acknowledging your wins, even if they don't turn out the way you want them to. Acknowledge the fact that you tried, the fact that you spoke up, regardless of how anybody responded. And then if people respond in a really good way and things change, celebrate that. Because if we wait until we, reach our big goal to celebrate, we might not ever get there. But if we mark our progress along the way, then we can see how we're actually making a difference. And so those are the 4 pillars. And that rest and celebration piece, for a long time, I wasn't doing that myself. I would go, okay, I got to get grounded. I'm going to learn. I'm going to go out there and do something. And then it's, okay, I got to get grounded. And I realized that if I wasn't taking the time to rest, and I wasn't taking the time to acknowledge my wins, then it was just a grind and it wasn't fun. And it was just a chore. And it's easy to lose sight of why you do it, or to look at why you do it as like a negative thing. I've got to get this done because there's so much injustice in the world. And I can't rest because somebody's being harmed and stuff. But pushing yourself like that is only gonna like weigh you down, and it's only gonna make it harder for you to sustain the work, and you don't enjoy it. So if you pause to rest and celebrate, then that helps you sustain the work. And when you enjoy what you do, it helps you bring in other people to want to do it with you, which lifts the load.
Right. I
Yeah.
was just thinking as you were talking about in our book Still Point, one of the 5 skills of self-care is partnership power. It's one of
Mm-hmm.
my favorite skills of self-care,
Mm-hmm.
that you don't have to do this by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That, being a part of a community like Inspired by Indigo or Women Connected in Wisdom, that you don't have to do this by yourself, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are people to support and help you along your journey, and that we're not meant to do it by ourselves. I mean,
No.
we are human beings, mammals are very community orientated folks,
Mm-hmm.
and that we want somebody, we want a partner, or we want people in our lives to reflect back to us, like our
Yes.
successes and our wins, and to shine the light when we get discouraged, because we do
Mm-hmm.
get discouraged, or we don't feel good, or
Mm-hmm.
grief happens because we've had a loss in our life.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to be in partnership power with people who can lift us up and
Yes.
remind us. Like, I'm meeting with a group this afternoon. We've had a manifesting group for 5 years,
Wow.
a mastermind that
Mhm.
we met at Jack Canfield and Steve Harris's Quantum Leap program over
Mhm.
5 years ago.
Mhm.
And we met each other and we just were like, oh, we have to stay in touch. So we have had a group for 5 years, once a month, that we get together and celebrate each other. And I love groups that, I mean, there's short-term groups that I'm a part of that are very
Mhm.
effective, but I also like those long-term groups that
Mhm.
say, when you get discouraged, they say, no, 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 no. I've seen you do this, this, and this.
Right.
Remember when this was just like a vision, like you barely had the words for this vision that is now launched and out there in the world.
Mhm. Mhm.
And yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I had never been a part of a manifesting group before, this past year when I joined the one with you, and I had been doing what I do by myself, for a long time, and I was feeling discouraged and overwhelmed, and once I joined the Manifesting Mondays group, once I joined that group of women, it totally changed the way I look at what I do and how I do it. And every time I start to go back into that thinking of this is too hard and I'm not doing enough and everything, you guys pull me right back. And
Mhm.
you guys, you help me mark my wins and mark my progress. And I'll say there are things that I don't think I would have done except that I'm part of this group and you guys affirm me and say, yeah, you can do this. Or I get scared and then I say, but I put this down as something I'm gonna do and they're expecting it. So let me follow through. And every time I've done it, even if I've been scared and I'm like, I got to do this because I said I was going to, and they're going to hold me accountable, it's turned out okay. Every
Right.
time I've done that, it's been okay.
Right. Or
Yeah.
better than okay.
Yeah. Or better. Yeah. But it has not been the disaster that I've, built up in my
Right.
mind, and having other people there to mirror back, who you are and what you've done has been significant. Um it's been life changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, my friend. I feel the same way.
Mhm.
Like, I often say I am because they are, right?
Mhm.
With most of the people in my life, honestly, because I
Mhm.
am really lucky with the people that I have in my life. And I think about that. Like, surround yourself by people who lift you up. Like,
Mhm.
surround yourself by people who see the best in you and
Right?
want the best for you
Mhm.
and see you as whole,
Mhm.
see you as capable and whole. And I think I'm really thinking of my mentor, Glenda Taylor, today, because today is her birthday. Happy birthday,
Oh, happy
Glenda!
birthday.
She is the founder of oneandallwisdom.com and Earth Springs. And she has been my mentor and teacher for over 24 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and I think about, she was doing a podcast, and I was listening. I started my morning with it, and
Mhm.
I wish I could tell you the name, but I've lost it. But it was
Oh,
really about, it was this beautiful podcast about unity and expansiveness. And I'm going to tell you the name because I'm finding it just a second.
mhm.
I'm trying to click while I do it. But it was really about getting out of our binaries and getting out of our
Right.
old ways of thinking, and
Mhm.
really checking in with ourselves and connected to source, right? Being
Right.
connected to that there's so much more out there than we know.
Mm-hmm.
It was called Expectations, Assumptions, and Unknowing. I thought you might like that because of the
Yes.
work you do. But yeah, that's, you also check it out. It's over on the oneandallwisdom.com platform. But yeah, I
I'm
just
writing that down.
I love this conversation this morning, Cecile, because it brings me back to what are some things that in my fast dancing might have dropped off my plate that I want to pick
Mm-hmm.
back up
Mm-hmm.
for dreaming and manifesting. I have such a big year already. It's like I just was like, oh girl, you don't have any more room on your plate.
Well, part of that getting grounded and dreaming and manifesting and everything is figuring out what's most important right now.
Right?
Because it's hard to
Right?
manifest if you're looking at everything you want to do like forever.
Mhm,
If you've got,
mhm.
50 things you want to do, how are you going to make them all happen if you don't choose what's most important right now and just work on a
Right?
few, you know?
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
there's so many fun people to play with and collaborate with
Mm-hmm.
and do things with, and right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and what I always look at, what brings me joy, what
Mm-hmm.
makes a difference in the world. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of intersections when I'm
Mm-hmm.
choosing. Like
Mm-hmm.
who am I collaborating with?
Right.
What's making the most impact and difference in the world for good?
Mm-hmm.
And what brings me joy?
Mm-hmm.
And what is sustainable? Like that's a
Right.
big piece,
That's
right?
a huge
What
piece.
is sustainable?
Mm-hmm.
What can, including, getting paid for our work, and
Mm-hmm.
also the amount of energy and labor that goes into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole other show we're going to have.
Yeah, that's a whole different topic. All right, my friend. Thank you so much for this conversation today. And I just want to remind people that if they're looking for more information about either one of us, they can find me at Cecile, Sacil Armstrong.com, and they can find you.
At ChristineGautreaux.com. And we'll put that in the links because that's way too long to spell on air.
Right. Whew. All right, friend. I am looking forward to seeing you again next week. And a day will be with us next week. And I have no idea what we're talking about, but we are going to be playing with possibilities.
I love it. I love it. Y'all have fun.
All right. Bye, y'all. See you next time.